Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiv Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiv Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopi Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gourangi Radhe Vrindaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Guru Sri Radhe Golokananda Bhagwan ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Chinu, how are you?
Good, Uncle. Just finished my board exam today.
Wow, that's nice. What a relief, huh?
Yeah. Glad to be done.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's really nice. And then you can join for, Srimad Bhagvatam as well.
Yeah,
That's
that's why I'm here.
That's like the award, for completing your exams.
Yep.
So, all right. Hare Krishna, everyone. We will continue reading Srimad Bhagavatam. We have been reading Adhyay 3 from Cantos 2. And yesterday we completed Shlok 20, where Sukdev Goswami, how it's being explained that a human being is being compared to all these different kinds of animals if he is not able to utilize the human Sthul Sharir and Suksham Sharir in the devotion of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So we'll just continue with that. So Bharah param pat kirit jushta mayutte mangam nanamen mukundam shavo karono kurute sarpayam harel sat kanchan kankanova. So the upper portion of the body, though crowned with a silk turban, is only a heavy burden if not brought down before the personality of Godhead, who can award mukti, freedom. And the hands, though decorated with glittering bangles, are like those of a dead man if not engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead, Hare. Yeah, so that's how it's being compared. Yeah, Name na Mukundam. So Mukundam, Lord Sri Krishna, if you cannot bow down your head to Lord Sri Krishna, then even if you put a heavy silk turban, it's only a heavy burden. So no use. Is what Sukdev Goswami is saying. Anilji?
Ji. Barhaite te nayane naranam lingani vishnurna nirikshato ye pado nanam to drumajanma bhajo kshetrani nanu brajate hare yo. The eyes which do not look at the symbolic representations of the personality of Godhead, Vishnu, his forms, name, quality, etc., are like those printed on the plumes of the peacock, and the legs which do not move to the holy places where the Lord is remembered are considered to be like tree trunks. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Right. So essentially the bottom line is ये मानव शरीर निरर्थक है अगर लॉर्ड श्री कृष्णा के दर्शन नहीं करें, अगर वृंदावन धाम की यात्रा नहीं करें. Right? So Chinu, will you read?
Even chavo bhagvatangri renum na jatu martyo bhila bheta yastu Shri Vishnu Padya Manujas Tulasya Shvasanya Chavo Yas tuna veda gandham. The person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ajay?
Tad shmasaram hidayam batedam yad griham marni harinam dheye na vikrit yatath yada vikaro netre jalam gatra ruheshu harshah. Certainly that heart is steel framed, which in spite of one's chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration does not change when ecstasy takes place. Tears fill the eyes and the hair stand on the end. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? Tears fill the eyes and the hairs stand on, and that's what happens when ecstasy takes place. Right? When you are chanting the holy name, that's what happens. Netre jalam gata ruheshu harshahe. But if that is not being experienced, then that heart is still framed, is what is being told. Yeah. So that is called a true Krishna bhav when that happens. They are saying, like even Swami Prabhupada, so they say, like when you are chanting or when you really are eager to get darshan of Radha Krishna and still the tears are not coming into your eyes in this human form, then you should cry for that, like cry for why the tears are not coming out. Yeah. So that's how the ecstasy is being described. Mayur, aap padhenge?
अथाभिदे अंगमनो नुकुलम प्रभाषसे भागवत प्रधानम यदाह वयासत्कीरात्मविद्या विशारतो नृपतिम साधु prastha. O Sutta Goswami, your words are pleasing to our minds. Please therefore explain this to us as it was spoken by the great devotee Sukadev Goswami, who is very expert in transcendental knowledge and who spoke to Maharaj Parikshit upon being asked. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Right? So Sonak Muni, head of all the rishis, is continuously urging Sud Goswami ji to keep residing. How did Sukdev Goswami ji, who is expert in transcendental knowledge, spoke to Maharaj Parikshit? Oh, and then this ends the Bhakti Vedanta purpose of the second canto, third chapter of the Srimad Bhagvatam, entitled Pure Devotional Service, the Change in Heart. Bolo Srimad Bhagvatam ki Jai.
Jai.
Yeah, so we have completed third chapter already. So which is nice. It's already beginning of February this year. I think we started second cantos this year in January. So that's pretty good. So we'll continue reading. We have still good time. So let's continue reading the next chapter, which is titled as the process of creation.
This says chapter 4. Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah. Chapter 4, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Nisha.
सूत उवाच वैयासकेरिति वचस्तत्त्वनिश्चयमात्मनः उपधार्य मतिं कृष्णे औत्तरेयः सतिं व्यधात्. Suta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, after hearing the speeches of Sukadev Goswami, which were all about the truth of the self, applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It says, Upadharya Matim Krishne. So after hearing all this from Sukadeva Goswami ji, Maharaj Parikshit is now totally concentrated on Lord Sri Krishna. Tarun? You on mute, Tarun.
Sorry. Atmajaya Sutagara Pasu Dravina Bandhusu Rajya Kavikale Nityam Virudham Mamatam Jayehu. Maharaja Parikshit, as a result of his wholehearted attraction for Lord Krishna, was able to give up all deep-rooted affection for his personal body, his wife, his children, his palace, his animals like horses and elephants, his treasury house, his friends and relatives, and his undisputed kingdom. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? Virudam Mamtam Jaho. So was able to give up all the deep-rooted affection for everything and totally focused on Lord Sri Krishna. Ravi?
Yes. Paprachchem me varthan yanma prachyat sattamaha. Krishnanubhava shravane shraddhano mahamanaha. Sanstha विज्ञान संन्यस्य कर्म त्रैवर्गीय वर्गिकञ्च यत् वासुदेवे भगवती आत्मभावं दृढं गतः. O great sages, the great soul Maharaja Parikshit, constantly wrapped in the thought of Lord Krishna, knowing well of his imminent death, renounced all sorts of fruitive activities, namely acts of the religion, economic development, and the sense gratifications, and thus fixed himself firmly in his natural love for Krishna and asked all these questions exactly as you are asking me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah, fixed himself firmly in the natural law of Krishna. I think that's what is being emphasized again and again. Vasudeve Bhagvati Atmabhavam Dridam Gataha. Right? And same thing like Krishnanu Bhav Sravane. Sachin?
Samichinam vacho rajovaj. Samichinam vacho brahman sarvajnasya tavanagha. Tamo vishiyaryate mahyam hare kathayatah katham. Maharaj Parikshit said, O learned Brahman, you know everything because you are without material contamination. Therefore, whatever you have spoken to me appears perfectly right. Your speeches are gradually destroying the darkness of my ignorance, for you are narrating the topics of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So as Sukdev Goswami is speaking, Maharaj Parikshit is saying he's destroying the darkness of the ignorance. Tamo vichiryate mahan hariha. So, Rinaji?
Tya eva vivatsami bhagvanatmaya yathedam srijate vishwam durvibhavya madhishware. I beg to know from you how the personality of Godhead, by his personal energies, creates these phenomenal universes as they are, which are inconceivable even to the great demigods. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? So the title of this chapter is The Creation. So after Sukdev Goswami ji explains to Maharaj Parikshit, right? If you remember, we started with, okay, you sit down in a nice pose, you focus on Om, and said you think about the whole Virat Sharup of Lord Sri Krishna, and you saw how he explained in all three lok, I mean all 14 loks, you know, how you meditate on Virat Sharup of Lord Vishnu. And then after that, how you should see Radha Krishna in your heart. And then once you start seeing Lord Krishna in your heart, how the heart changes, the Hridaya Parivartan, and you get the devotional service. After all that, so now Maharaj Parikshit is also curious and he's asking the Goswamiji that how the personality of Godhead by his personal energies creates these phenomenal universes as they are. Yathedam srijate vishwam, right? So which are inconceivable even to the great demigods, right? So we know all the demigods, all the devatas who are so powerful, but how, I mean, they cannot even, conceive that. So that's what Maharaj Parikshit is asking now. And that is why this chapter is titled as The Creation. Yeah, and the purports are long. There are a lot of things described in there. As when you get a chance, just open up a page and read, right? All purports have so many details in those. Manisha?
यथा गोपायति विभुर्यथा संयश्चते पुनः यां यां शक्तिमुपाश्रित्य पुरुशक्तिः परः पुमान् आत्मानं क्रीडन् करोति विकरोति च. Kindly describe how the Supreme Lord, who is all-powerful, engages his different energies and different expansions in maintaining and again winding up the phenomenal world in the sporting spirit of a player. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? Like just like a player, Atmanam Kridiyan Karoti Vikroti Cha. Like just like that, how Lord Sri Krishna is maintaining this whole world and how this whole world is being created and destroyed and how it's being run. I mean, those are the questions all the scientists are asking too, right? But Sukhdev Goswami already replied to Maharaj Parikshit on how this is being done, and that's what we are going to read, right? Anilji?
नूनं भगवतो ब्रह्मण हरेद्भुत कर्मणः दुर्विभाति कविभिश्चापि चेष्टितम्. O learned Brahmana, the transcendental activities of the Lord are all wonderful, and they appear inconceivable because even great endeavors by many learned scholars have still proved insufficient for understanding them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Let's read this purport. Yeah. And so Shivam.
The acts of the Supreme Lord in the creation of just this universe appear inconceivably wonderful, and there are innumerable universes, and all of them are aggregated together, known as the created material world. And this part of his creation is only a fractional part of the complete creation. The material world stands as a part of only ekam sena stito jagat. Supposing that the material world is a display of one part of his energy, the remaining three parts consist of the Vaikuntha Jagat, or spiritual world here described in the Bhagavad Gita as Madham or Sanatan Dham, or the eternal world. We have marked in the previous verse that he creates and again winds up in the creation. This action is applicable only in the material world because the other greater part of his creation, namely the Vaikuntha world, is neither created nor annihilated. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It's already so much knowledge here, right? Spiritual world or the eternal world is 3/4 and 1/4 is universes, and then all these universes are what our universe, if we continue to read, is like a smallest universe. There are so many innumerable number of universes, and each universe, as we had read in Brahma Samhita, right, has Kshirodakshay Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, right, and who comes from Garbhodakshay Vishnu and then from Lord Sri Krishna. Yeah, I just continue reading this, Mayur.
Otherwise, the Vaikuntha Dham would not have been called eternal. The Lord exists with his Dham or in other words, with his eternal name, qualities, pastimes, entourage, and personality, which are all a display of his different energies and expansions. The Lord is called Anadi, or having no creator, and Adi, or the origin of all. We think in our own imperfect way that the Lord is also created, but the Vedanta informs us that he is not created. Rather, everything else is created by him. Naraya Paro Vyakhat. Therefore, for the common man, these are all very wonderful matters for consideration. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Tarun?
Even for great scholars, they are inconceivable, and thus such scholars present theories contradictory to one another. Even for the insignificant part of his creation, this particular universe, they have no complete information as to how far this limited space extends, or how many stars and planets are there, or the difficult conditions of those innumerable planets. Modern scientists have insufficient knowledge of all of this. Some of them assert that there are 100 million planets scattered all over space. In a news release from Moscow dated 2/21/60, the following piece of knowledge was relayed. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Chinu?
Russia's well-known professor of astronomy, Boris Vorontsov Vilyaminov, said that there must be an infinite number of planets in the universe inhabited by beings endowed with reason. It could be that life similar to that on Earth flourishes on such planets. Doctor of Chemistry Nikolai Zirov, covering the problem of atmosphere on other planets, pointed out that the organism of a Martian, for instance, could very well adapt itself to normal existence with a low body temperature. He said that he felt that the gaseous component of Martian atmosphere was quite suitable to sustain life of beings which have become adapted to it.
Krishna. Let's read Sachin from here.
Yanti deva vrata devan pitran yanti pitra vrata bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhyajino pimam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. Hare Krishna.
All right. So what we missed was, here it says, one has to prepare himself and therefore to be transferred to a different planet after being relieved of the present body. Right? And how does it work is Yanti Deva Vritu Devam, right? So those who worship demigods will take birth among the demigods. It's mentioned that the demigods are the higher planet. Yeah. And then we also, as we have seen the 14 planets, right? Just again and again, right? So the spirits will take birth among such beings, and those who worship me will live with me, is what Lord Sri Krishna is saying. Okay. So, and let's just read last few lines again, Shiva. Okay.
We can know something of the unlimited when it is explained by the unlimited, as has been done by the Lord himself in the unique statements of Bhagavad Gita. And it can also be known to some extent from realized souls like Sukdev Goswami, who learned it from Vyasadeva, a disciple of Narad. And thus, the perfect knowledge can descend from the chain of disciplic succession only, and not by any form of experimental knowledge, old or modern. Hare Krishna.
So very important. It's coming, the knowledge has been coming in the disciplic succession. We had seen that, right? Remember, if you remember that we had seen like how from Lord Sri Krishna you have the four branches, right? From Lord Shiva, Goddess Lakshmi, Lord Brahma, and Sanat Kumar, and then how Madhavacharya, and then that is the descendant from Lord Sri Brahma, and that's how we have seen the disciplic succession. So there's so much knowledge in this canto, right, about the creation of the universe. We'll continue reading that. We'll pause right now since we only had pretty much 2 minutes left. Any comments, or you already are starting to understand how the universe has been created, right? I think this has a lot more chapters, maybe I think around 10 more. And it's really described in such a great depth how this whole thing is created and maintained and all that. So I think it'll be wonderful to read that. And of course, the most important is the devotional service. So let's listen to the nice bhajan, and then we'll continue reading this tomorrow. Yeah. Any comments before I start this? Or we only have 2 minutes now, so let's continue and we'll see you tomorrow again. Okay. Krishna.
श्री राधे बरसाने वारी नंद नंदन सुख घन बनवारी श्री राधे बरसाने वारी नंद नंदन सुख घन बनवारी श्री राधे बरसाने वारी नंद नंदन सुख घन बनवारी श्री राधे बरसाने वारी नंद नंदन सुख घन बनवारी प्यारी पर प्रियतम बलिहारी पिय पर प्यारी वारी वारी प्यारी पर प्रियतम बलिहारी पिय पर प्यारी वारी वारी प्यारी बनी गई कुंज बिहारी बनी गए प्यारी नंद नंदन सुख